Hello dear viewers, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this latest edition of the News in English on Rwanda Television with me, Serge Nhori. We'll begin with the headlines. The Rwanda FDA has issued another announcement on the temporary suspension on the importation of up to 52 different brands of alcoholic beverages. And on the international scene, hundreds of Ugandans lined up the streets of Kampala to welcome home the ghetto kids after the young dancers made history by performing at the FIFA World Cup 2026 final halftime show. As we begin this edition of the news, let us first read to you the following announcement from the Rwanda FDA on the temporary suspension of importation of certain alcoholic beverages. Now, pursuant to the law number 003/2018 of the 9th of February 2018, establishing the Rwanda Food and Drugs Authority, that is the Rwanda FDA, in determining its mission, organization, and functioning, especially in Article 9. In the interest of public health, the Rwanda FDA informs all importers, distributors, and retailers, as well as the general public, that importation of alcoholic beverages listed in an Annex 1 is temporarily suspended with immediate effect. Now, that Annex is appearing on your screen and has been posted along with the announcement on X. Now, thus, the following regulatory actions are in effect immediately. 1. The Rwanda FDA instructs importers to immediately initiate a full recall of the products. 2. The Rwanda FDA instructs importers to immediately request respective distributors to recall the listed products from their clients, to return current stock and recalled products to the importers. 3. The Rwanda FDA instructs importers to submit recall reports within 3 working days from the publication of this announcement. 4. The Rwanda FDA instructs all distributors and retailers of the products listed in Annex 1 to immediately stop their distribution and sale and return the remaining quantities to their importers with immediate effect. 5. Non-compliance with all the above will result in measures under applicable regulatory provisions. 6. The Rwanda FDA calls on consumers of alcoholic beverages listed in Annex 1 to immediately stop their consumption. And 7. All advertisements and promotional material for alcoholic beverages listed in Annex 1 must be immediately removed from wherever they are displayed. Now, please note a list of other concerned products will be issued in due course as regulatory enforcement continues. The Rwanda FDA appreciates your understanding and cooperation. Now, as the announcement said, the products were in the annex that you saw on your screens, but has been posted on the account of X of the Rwanda FDA, so you can find it there for details on that announcement. Now, moving on, at the Gahanga Industrial Park in Kicukiro District, security agencies, including police, the Rwanda Defense Force, and local authorities, jointly removed 661 drums of ethanol from Kesesa Distillers and Distributors Limited, a company that manufactured alcoholic beverages. The ethanol was transported to a designated site for destruction. Each drum had a capacity of 250 liters. In addition, the company had 28,237 cartons of alcoholic beverages that were also scheduled to be destroyed. The operations were carried out by various government institutions as part of efforts to protect public health and combat the production and distribution of illicit alcoholic beverages. Now, in the Eastern Province, more than 100 people, including local government leaders and other individuals, have been removed from their positions after being suspected of involvement in the distribution and use of substandard alcoholic beverages. Eastern Province Governor Puidas Rwingisa said the province has given itself 1 week to remove all such beverages from communities. The list of local leaders implicated in activities related to the distribution and use of substandard alcoholic beverages in the Eastern Province includes 56 settlement leaders, 15 settlement security officers, 4 social affairs officers, and 6 community health workers. Residents of the province said it is deeply concerning that local leaders close to their communities have been implicated in such activities, but welcomed the decision to remove them from office. Among the issues discussed during the Eastern Province Coordination meeting held on Wednesday was the role of local government leaders and development partners in combating and eliminating substandard alcoholic beverages. The meeting was also attended by youth representatives who left with measures to implement. Now, the governor, as we noted earlier, said it is a serious concern that some local government leaders have been linked to activities involving substandard alcoholic beverages. He added that the province has given itself 1 week to ensure these beverages are completely removed from communities. Overall, from February this year through the end of last month, that is July, authorities in the Eastern Province have arrested 2,925 people on charges related to the production, distribution, or use of substandard alcoholic beverages. During the same period, nearly 800,000 litres of such beverages have been destroyed. The residents of Nyamasheke district say that they are pleased with the government's decision to crack down on substandard alcoholic beverages, saying they have had serious impacts on the health and safety of those who consume them. They also say they have committed to reporting people involved in producing or selling them so that the practice can be completely eliminated. Within just 1 week, more than 1,000 litres of substandard alcoholic beverages have been destroyed in the district. The Ministry of Health says that within only 6 months, 20 minors have required dialysis treatment. More than 11,000 people have become addicted to alcohol, while more than 500 people have sought medical care due to problems related to alcohol consumption. Nyamasheke District Mayor Narcisse Mupenzi has reminded residents about the dangers of such alcoholic beverages and called for their cooperation in fighting against them. After being informed about the serious effects these beverages have on health and the country's development, residents said they are ready to provide any information that can help eradicate them completely. The alcoholic beverages have been found to be linked to various crimes, including assault and causing injuries, theft, forgery, and the use of forged documents, among others. The spokesperson of the Rwanda Investigation Bureau has said that providing information is allowed and can be done with confidentiality in order to completely eliminate the beverages. The crime of giving someone a substance that can kill or harm their health is punishable by imprisonment of between 2 and 3 years, as well as a fine ranging from 300 to 500,000 Rwandan francs. If the substance provided causes an incurable disease, the punishment increases to imprisonment of between 20 and 25 years, as well as a fine ranging from 500,000 to 1 million Rwandan francs. Now, moving on to other matters. In just 1 year, the government of Rwanda has repatriated more than 200 Rwandans who had been trafficked abroad. Authorities in the justice and immigration sectors say human trafficking has become an increasingly alarming challenge. Adam Squizera with the details on that.
Munyemana Eric, a pseudonym used to protect his identity, is one of the Rwandans who was trafficked to Thailand. As he recounts the journey that led to his trafficking, he's often overcome with emotion because of the traumatic experiences he endured. While in Thailand, Eric had been promised a legitimate job. Instead, he was taken across the border into Myanmar.
They had initially told me that the company was based in the capital city. Then, without warning, they changed the plan and told me I would be working in a rural area. It was only about a 15-minute flight, and at that point I felt I had no choice because I had already begun the journey and couldn't turn back. I prepared to leave, and another driver took me back to Bangkok International Airport, where I boarded a flight from Bangkok to Mae Sot. From Mae Sot to the place where I was supposed to work, the journey was extremely long. It took between 6 and 7 hours. They kept transferring me from one vehicle to another until we eventually reached a place surrounded by farmland. I couldn't even see a single house.
Upon arrival, he was met by people who had been waiting for him on the river separating Thailand and Myanmar. The work he was forced into involved cyber-enabled criminal activities. However, before leaving Rwanda, he had been told that he would be working in a customer service call center. Dating romance.
When I arrived there, they assigned me to a department that carried out dating and romance scams. They gave me scripts that I was expected to follow word for word while chatting with people from Monday to Friday. If you made even the slightest mistake or said something that wasn't in the script, it became a serious problem because the Chinese mafia running the operation expected everything to be done exactly as instructed. Since I wasn't familiar with that kind of work, I made mistakes. As a result, I was beaten and subjected to harsh punishments, including being forced to stand on sharp, nail-like objects. By the time I left, my feet were severely swollen.
After almost 4 months, he was transferred to the company's headquarters. There he took what he believed was an impossible chance by asking the company's chief executive to allow him to return home. Surprisingly, his request was eventually granted, marking the beginning of his efforts to return to Rwanda. During the process, he found himself at a military camp in Myanmar.
As the vehicle drove through the entrance, the first thing I realized was that it was a military facility. Once inside, I saw many young people. I had believed they had already returned to their home countries, but they were still there. At that moment, I realized that going home was not going to happen anytime soon.
It took another 5 months before he was finally rescued. Rwanda's embassy in Japan, working together with the International Organization for Immigration, IOM, facilitated his rescue and return. Human trafficking continues to grow at an alarming rate. Around the world, internationally, it is recognized as a serious crime against humanity and carries some of the penalties under national law, including life imprisonment, or in some countries, the death penalty. Desire Muragishimana, the national prosecutor in charge of the Committee on Combating Human Trafficking, says the crime is driven by several factors and primarily targets young people under the age of 30.
It is largely caused by a lack of awareness, limited knowledge, and failure to carefully assess what someone is really offering or intending. Another major factor is the desire to get rich quickly.
Over the past 3 years, 54 people have been convicted of human trafficking offenses in Rwanda. Of these, 12 were convicted in 2025, 18 in 2024, and 24 in 2023. Muragishimana notes that Rwanda has made significant progress in strengthening cooperation with the international organizations to combat human trafficking. Rwanda's Directorate General of Immigration and Immigration says human traffickers can come from unexpected backgrounds, including individuals posing as religious leaders, underscoring the need for collective efforts from all sectors of society to prevent and combat the crime. Figures recently released shows that between July 2025 and July 2026, Rwanda repatriated 289 victims of human trafficking. Among them, 101 were rescued from Cambodia, 58 from Laos, 31 from Myanmar, and 99 from Oman. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Rwanda has received 302 Rwandans who have returned home from the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where they had sought refuge at different times since 1994. Some of the returnees said that what delayed their return was the FDLR terrorist group, which had held them hostage at the main La Corniche border crossing linking Rubavu and Goma. 285 Rwandans were received, while 17 others were received at the Rusizi-1 border crossing connecting Rusizi and Bukavu. Compared with previous groups of returnees, this group had a higher number of men and young people. The returnees, most of whom have families originating from Rwanda's western and northern provinces, said the process of returning home became easier after the M23 rebel group took control of the areas where they had been living in eastern DRC. They added that before then, the FDLR terrorist group had prevented them from returning. Among these Rwandans are people who spent 32 years in exile, with many of them having been born there. They said that throughout their time in the DRC, they achieved nothing except constantly moving from place to place and being deprived of their belongings by armed groups. In Rubavu and Rusizi districts, where the returnees arrived, they were received by local authorities. Rubavu District Mayor Prosper Murindwa, who welcomed them, who welcomed those entering Rubavu district, urged them to avoid this divisionism and discrimination and instead promote unity. Since January 2025, when the M23 group captured and took control of large areas of North and South Kivu provinces, the number of Rwandans returning home has continued to increase. Current figures show that more than 8,900 people have returned so far. Now, Rwanda has ranked third globally in the 2026 Greenfield FDI Performance Index published by the Financial Times Group for attracting new foreign investment projects relative to the size of its economy, behind only the United Arab Emirates and Namibia. William Evans Mutawazi reports.
Rwanda's investment-friendly policies are once again drawing international recognition. According to the Greenfield FDI Performance Index 2026, Rwanda ranks third in the world for attracting greenfield foreign direct investment relative to the size of its economy, with a score of 6.99. Among the measures credited with boosting investor confidence is the government's decision to remove taxes on heavy-duty trucks, a move investors say has reduced the cost of doing business.
Exactly, that's the beauty of Rwanda. They know what's best for the people and they know what's best for the investors. That's why I chose Rwanda. There's no import duties. For the small cars, you get like 25, maybe higher percentage of import taxes. But thanks to Rwanda that they have reduced the big trucks to zero import taxes. So for that, we are grateful. And actually, this is a good sign for business in Rwanda as well. The people need the trucks. Construction need trucks, transportation need trucks, all different kind of business which require trucks, they need this for business. Just want to say that it's been an honor and a privilege to witness the flourish of Rwanda. And we can see that Rwanda has a promising future. And thank you, Rwanda. Thank you for our government and its people who support us with the business.
Other investors operating in Rwanda say that a predictable business environment has encouraged them to expand their investments.
Yeah, Rwanda is a fantastic place. I think as investing here, it's been more about the country's governance, the corporations, the support that we keep receiving from all stakeholders, and working with the people around here. As you know, we operate the Kigali Logistics platform and Rubavu Logistics platform. It's been an incredible journey for last 5-6 years. We've been working here. We employ more than 700 people plus minus direct indirect work, and 98% being the Rwandese people. Kigali Logistics platform investment has been increased closer to 30 to 35 million as we speak. With the Rubavu Logistics Ports, our logistics business, the trade promotion plan, it's more or less we are closer to $50 million. That we have already been invested in different portfolios and sizes.
The chairperson of the Rwanda Private Sector Federation says that the private sector also plays a key role by helping international investors identify opportunities and establish businesses in Rwanda.
Hari ibigo binini ubu ngubu biriho bishora imari mu Rwanda ndetse tunagerageza natwe gukangurira kugira ngo.
There are several big companies investing in Rwanda already, and many others we are trying to bring them on board. In this collaboration, we learn from each other, meaning that collaboration and cooperation is mutually beneficial.
Ubufatanye bukaza nko muri urwo rwego rw'ihererekanya.
Speaking at the African CEO Forum in May this year, President Paul Kagame urged public institutions to make it easier for businesses to operate, describing the private sector as the engine of the national development.
Private sector is doing a good job. In fact, it is ahead of the public sector. But we could be served much better by finding a way to bring close private sector and the public sector and benefiting each other as one, because that's what we are actually one when you look at the needs of the continent. And so I want to thank the private sector. The private sector, they are actually, to some level, hustlers. They are able to go through some of the barriers that are created by the public sector. But if those barriers were not there, the private sector would be far ahead of where they are, and along with that, the continent also would be ahead of where we are. So my call to all of us is for they are coming together, the private sector, and those of us in the public sector need to fine-tune our responsibilities towards allowing the private sector to be the engine that they are and should be.
The Greenfield FDI Performance Index 2026, produced by the Financial Times Group, shows that Rwanda attracted new greenfield investment projects worth nearly 7 times the size of what would be expected for an economy of its scale, giving the country a performance of 6.99 and placing it in third position globally.
Now, the government of Rwanda, through its Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning and the European Investment Bank, have signed a 65 million euro financing agreement to support the implementation of the Volcanoes Community Resilience Project, a flagship initiative aimed at strengthening climate resilience, protecting biodiversity and improving livelihoods in northwestern Rwanda. The project will be implemented across the districts of Gakenke, Burera, Musanze, Nyabihu, Rubavu, Rutsiro, Ngororero, and Muhanga, benefiting more than 2.3 million people living in areas vulnerable to floods, landslides, and soil erosion. It will support investments in flood risk reduction, infrastructure, watershed restoration, landscape rehabilitation, biodiversity conservation, and sustainable livelihoods opportunities for local communities. The project is coordinated by the Ministry of Environment and implemented in collaboration with the Rwanda Water Resources Board, the Rwanda Meteorology Agency, the Rwanda Environment Management Authority, and the Rwanda Development Board. The finance agreement reflects the continued partnership between Rwanda and the European Investment Bank in advancing climate action, environmental sustainability, and resilient infrastructure in support of Rwanda's long-term development ambitions. Now, students who studied at the Rwanda Coding Academy, a specialized school in computer programming, are set to become the first cohort at the new Rwanda Institute of Computing, which will offer specialized university-level courses in computer technology. They say the skills they acquired at the specialized secondary school in computer programming helped them realize that the job market was ready for them. They are also proud of their contribution to several technology projects, including those that have already started providing solutions in various sectors.
I went to the Ministry of Health. Also there I was a software engineer working on different software programs, like the most common one known as Ibuzima, which is used at health center level as an EMR. And then after that, I joined this private company called Analytica MO, where I'm working still as a software engineer, but also a data scientist. So it's been a great experience. And yeah, as you said, it's all based on the skills that we've been provided with, which are on the highest level and allow you to, enter the market and start working directly without any further training.
I was employed by different companies and contributed on many projects that are working live and serving millions of people in Rwanda.
A recent cabinet meeting approved the establishment of the Rwanda Institute of Computing. The institute is affiliated with the University of Rwanda and is located next to the Rwanda Coding Academy. It is scheduled to begin operations in September and will offer Bachelor of Science degrees in Artificial Intelligence and Cybersecurity. The director of the Rwanda Coding Academy has said that the first students to join the university will be graduates of the Rwanda Coding Academy from different cohorts. The students who are returning to continue their studies say they are ready to make the most of this opportunity to further develop their knowledge and skills.
I would choose cybersecurity because I've had an opportunity to have a glimpse of it in my last year at Rwanda Coding Academy, and I really liked it, and it was something that I was passionate about, but also it is something that is very applicable in the outside world because we are in a digital world where everyone is using different systems and social medias, so different information is put out there, so you can't guarantee the safety of it without cybersecurity. That's why I'm eager to learn cybersecurity so that that information is well protected and so that everyone who uses these systems, who uses technology, can feel safe and can feel that their information is well protected. And our assignment as us who have been who have had access to those opportunities is to put in all the efforts that is needed, keep making research, and also knowing how to use them effectively instead of misusing them or taking them for granted.
So I would say the technology landscape is, changing every year. So, and that then says that you need to update and keep on learning. And it's a university that we've been waiting for quite a while now. As you said, it's been 2 years. And, I'm ready to go and study and also go deep into whatever skills I have right now, which might be currently on a surface level. But then I think the university will allow me to go in deep and maybe go on to become a researcher who is going to be coming up with new great things for society, not only in terms of implementing, but also strategizing, if I can say. Yeah, so I think it's a very great thing that we've been waiting for, and we're very excited.
For these 2 years, I came to learn that there is a lot of more to learn. And I came to learn that there is much more impact we can create if we keep innovating, if we keep improving our skills. So, but if we stay stuck, keep building on what you have currently, at some point, I came to realize that at some point it will be we will be limited. So that's why I think this introduction of Rwanda Institute of Computing, RIC, it is an advantage for me personally, but for also other Rwandans who are pursuing technology.
University technology lecturers have noted that establishing an institution that offers specialized courses in advanced technology is a major step forward in the field. A total of 414 students have graduated from the Rwanda Coding Academy since it was established back in 2021. It is expected that graduates from the third and fourth cohorts will be the first students to join the new university. Now, parents and teachers are being urged not to raise children with smartphones and other digital devices, as many of those devices are not designed for use by young children. At their age, children often lack sufficient ability to critically analyze the content shared on social media platforms, which can lead them to become addicted and expose them to various health-related problems. Children and young people here in Rwanda who use social media platforms say they mainly help them communicate with friends, learn and share different types of knowledge. However, they also say that some content distracts them or leads them into undesirable behaviors.
Every single day when I wake up, many people may first use their phones, but I personally don't. I start with doing house chores and doing other things and talking to my family, and I use my phone. Aruko, I know that everything is done. Because normally, once you start to have an addiction with using your phone every single time, what you're supposed to do, and you end up going on TikTok or Instagram, and it doesn't build your ability to adapt with others rather than just being addicted to your phone. So what I've learned from the workshop, that as many advantages there are with social media, there are disadvantages. When you use social media, you feel like you're a part of a community globally, but occasionally the things we see online they don't build us, but they distract us, and they make us have bad habits, or they teach us the wrong things. Once we grow those kind of habits, it's hard to let go of them, and it causes you to change your personality and become someone who you're not. So one way I've decided to help myself to not change who I am is that whenever I'm surrounding myself with people, or if I have something I know I want to do, I make sure that I put my phone on DND, do not disturb, so that my phone won't come into my attention and divide it. And I just do one thing at a time, and I make sure that everything is completed. Aruko, I use my phone.
Social media makes you want to come for more. So the algorithms that makes it in such a way that they will show you what you like. So every time you're bored, you always want to go on social media because it's more interesting for you. Yeah. Yes, it's a bad thing because it will stop you from doing your normal activities. Let's say you want to study, and then you open a book, not even 1 hour in, you're already bored, and your phone is right there. So you're like, oh, this is very boring, and then you just take your phone without even thinking about it twice, because it's just muscle memory. You just, in your head, it's better. And you're like, I'll study after. You don't even think of the consequences. And then you just take your phone. So I think it can distract you, which is very bad for students who want to get good marks and have a bright future.
Experts say that technology and social media are necessary tools given the direction the world is heading, but they should be used with caution because they also carry many negative risks. During a two-day discussion that brought together children between the ages of 11 and 18 at Green Hills Academy, participants were taught on how to use social media platforms and digital devices in a responsible and safe manner. The experts also say parents should reduce the amount of time children spend on phones and televisions because excessive use can negatively affect their future.
The research showed that 56.9% of adults say they were addicted to their smartphones. These are adults. So imagine if adults can be addicted to almost 60%, yet they have a lot to do. We can imagine what would happen to young people. But again, researchers have worked on sleep challenges. Researchers conducted in 2021 found that 70% of participants had experienced one or more sleep challenges since the start of COVID-19 pandemic. And one would wonder why this is happening in the time of COVID pandemic. The reason is many people would spend several hours using their cell phones because we were in a lockdown, and in a lockdown when you find people staying at home for many hours. And staying at home, some of them were not used to spend that time alone and without doing anything. So they found themselves using the technology, cell phones, screens. And these screens, if you prolong the time you spend with them for two reasons. One is the blue light emission. Number two, it is having less time outside, outdoor. Did you know that being outdoor is very important? Do you know that? I think you studied that. Being outdoor is very important. It works on our sleep because if we spend some time outside, exposure to the sunlight will give us, we regulate what they call circadian rhythm.
These discussions on the proper use of social media among children and young people are being held for the fifth time. They focus on reducing the amount of time young people spend on digital devices and encourage more activities that help them interact and socialize with each other directly. As always, a pleasure that you are able to join us for this edition. Until we meet again, it's goodbye.